Hey guys, thank you for joining another episode of SellerSPEAK. I'm Ankita Nagraj. I head the customer success team at SellerApp. Today we have Chris Davey with us. Chris Davey is a UK-based sourcing expert and an entrepreneur who has set up 2 e-commerce firms in Shenzhen, China. He is a 7-figure Amazon seller who designs, engineers, and sources his own private label products, selling it online via Amazon worldwide. Over the past 3 years, he has built 2 unique brands which has taken him from $0 to $1 million. He's also founder and director of FBA for You, which helps big companies to expand its online sales, and it's also known to host the biggest networking events in China during Canton Fair, which has attracted about 500 plus power sellers in the past. He has also founded Source from Asia, which provides solutions to sourcing, logistics, and quality control in Asia. He has about 17 years of experience in sourcing and product development. He has previously led a team of 14 buyers to source about $30 million of materials annually. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today. Can you please tell us a little bit about your background?
So my background is sourcing, and I've done a lot of sourcing, and I work for a multinational company. That's why I moved to China originally. But now I design, engineer, and manufacture my own products for sale on Amazon. So I'm not just going to like Alibaba or exhibitions finding products. I go to the exhibitions, but what I find there are suppliers, people that can make things that I want to design. So that's kind of my background, and I also run a huge networking event in China for Amazon sellers. We have about 500 people come to it. So.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And so you have 2 brands in which you went from $0 to $1 million in the first year of selling, right? So can you tell me a little more about the whole journey?
Yeah, I mean, basically, to start from the beginning, I was working in China. So the reason I came to China was the company that I worked for built a factory in China, and they were looking to set up a sourcing team. And they've been trying with some Chinese managers to set up the team, but it wasn't really working, and they were having a lot of problems. So it just happened to be that one day they just come to me. In fact, it was a boss joked with me. He said, "Oh, I think Chris would be good working in China." And then he kind of walked away. And then like I thought about it for a little while. And then I sent him an email and asked him, "Oh, are you joking or serious?" And he's replied back, "Deadly serious." And then he didn't talk to me for about the next 6 months about it. And then suddenly it was like 6 months later, "Okay, like, can you go like ASAP? Like, you know, how quickly can you leave?" And it was supposed to be for a year, but I carried on working there for another 2 years. I set up the whole sourcing team in China, 16 people. We had a factory in China of about 300 people. We had an office with about 60 people. And we were basically sourcing parts because we were manufacturing speakers and headphones. And what we were manufacturing was the parts. So I have a very good background in buying all the parts in, bringing them into the factory, and then assembling the finished product. I'm a kind of person that I like to know all the processes of every single part that's involved in making everything. You know, it's like, oh, how do we make this glass cup? Yeah. Oh, how do you make that? Oh, how's that bit come out of the tool, etc., etc. I like to ask lots of questions. And this was one of the things actually that some of the girls that worked for me, that was nearly all girls, didn't like about me, because I went to the factory with one girl and said to her, like, we went for a meeting and we sit in the office for about 4 hours, and then she said, "We're leaving." And I'm like, "But we didn't even look at the factory." And she said, "Oh, you want to look at the factory?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. We're spending like $6 million with this company." And she said, "Oh, I never been in the factory." She's spending $6 million and she never been in the factory. After that, I convinced the owner of the company to let her work there for the next week, because I wanted her to fully understand how everything that we were buying was made. So that's how my background on sourcing came about. And then after a couple of years, my company that I was working for, which I actually worked for nearly 20 years, basically said, "Oh, we want you to go back to the UK." and I was like, oh, I don't really want to go back to the UK. So I pretty much quit. They basically offered me some money to leave, and I left. But I had already a background of doing eBay since like, I think around 1999 or something like that, the year. So quite a long time. Not like professionally, but I'd earned some money. We'd got up to about $100,000 doing it part-time on eBay. And we were doing Amazon since 2007. But we were just using Amazon to sell the stuff that wouldn't sell on eBay. So things have kind of turned around a little bit since then. And basically, I was sitting at my desk and I kind of felt like my company were going to ask me to go back to the UK about like 1 year before. I was sitting there listening to a lot of webinars and podcasts and things like that. Yeah. And I started listening to ones about startups and starting your own company. At that time, I was thinking of starting my own sourcing company and leaving. And then I just stumbled across one that was on about Amazon. And it was this guy, he was from Belgium. He said he was doing $30,000 on Amazon in the US, and he was buying stuff from China and selling it on Amazon. And I asked him, oh, like, have you ever been to China? He's like, no, I never been to China. I never been to the US. And I was just like, wow, I'm sitting in China. My speciality is buying things. Yeah. And I was like, I need to get on. So I started developing my own product. And I was just like about 2 months into that when my company asked me to go back to the UK. I hadn't actually sold it yet. I was still developing it with the factory. And that product, we had a few problems with it, but we ordered 1,000, but we ended up with about 400 pieces of the product because the rest was reject when we went and inspected it, and got them into Amazon. And literally we did $11,000 in 3 weeks and we sold out. And it was like, okay, this seems like we're onto the right track. But then we didn't have any more stock for about another 3 months, because we sold out of stock.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. So that was like a fluke, and it wasn't intentional the first time.
Oh, no, it was intentional, but we when you first design something yourself. One of my Chinese friends, she said this very well. I said, oh, this product's really brilliant. I showed it to her. I said, I'm going to be a millionaire. This is what I said to her, yeah. And she was like, everybody thinks their baby is the best looking baby. So in other words, she was saying, yeah, you think your product looks good. You've got to wait to see what everyone else thinks first. But everyone else thought it was good as well, luckily. So, so then we just went on from there, and we developed, in the first year, we developed about 40 SKUs of products. And since then we've just been growing and growing, and we've been developing more and more products. We've been putting more people into our team. We did start the sourcing company, but in the end we found that the sourcing company was generating us hardly any money and a lot of headaches, a lot of trouble with people, who really didn't know what they wanted. It was just like, I had people like, because we targeted Amazon sellers, because this was kind of what I thought I knew about at the time as well as sourcing. And it was just like, I had people just like sending me 3 links to Amazon saying, oh, which one do you think I should buy? I'm like, oh, okay, this is not sourcing. This is now I'm consulting on your business. Yeah. So after a while, we kind of toned that down. We stuck with a couple of people that were like big customers. And since then, we've looked at the sourcing a little bit, and occasionally we talk to people, but generally it doesn't come to anywhere because they don't actually want to pay the amount of money that I want to charge them. They think that I should do it for free. And I'm like, okay, I can make a lot of money from Amazon. I don't need to be wasting my time. So we don't do too much sourcing now for other people. So.
Okay. And I'm just curious, so what do you think set you apart when you compare your journey to the rest of the Amazon sellers who don't make it?
I think the problem is like 3 years ago, you could just pick up this cup and you could write your brand name on it and throw it onto Amazon, and you probably would make a reasonable amount of sales. But since then, about 1,000 Chinese also noticed this cup was selling really well and put their brand name on it and threw it onto Amazon. So this is a big problem. Yeah, this is why you really got to step up your game. It's becoming a lot more complex to sell on Amazon. My strategy was always different. I saw I saw around me a lot of people making a lot of money 3 years ago. I'm living in China. I live in Shenzhen in China for the last 6 years. I've been in China, and I have some Chinese Amazon seller friends, and them friends are struggling at the moment, actually. So, whereas before, you know, they were making a lot of money. They are like, one of my friends had like 300 staff just like doing Amazon research, stuff like that in his office. And now he's struggling. So I think you've got to kind of think outside of the box, and you've got to be able to like look on Amazon and say, okay, there's all these products that are there, but you know, what's not there? I have lots and lots of different strategies. You know, I make things that are like oversized, that aren't oversized, if you know what I mean. So I take an oversized product that sells for $50. Now the fees on an oversized product selling for $50 are probably about $19 fees with Amazon. But if you make it not oversized, you can save around $10 in fees. So I've done some products where I asked the customer to assemble them, and I gave them the $10, not me, but that gave me the competitive advantage against the other sellers, because now I'm $10 cheaper than them. And I know they can't go much cheaper because I know they've got this $18, $19 of Amazon fees. So I have all sorts of different strategies. I have some strategies where I target part numbers. So like maybe someone looks for a specific product and the keyword is a part number. So when you put that part number in, hey, only one product comes up. So if you do a product and you put the same part number in the back end and you make like an alternative version to their product, 2 products come up. You're already guaranteed position 2, page 1 from day one. Now, I'm not saying these products are going to make you a millionaire, but if you add a lot of them together, they will.
Right. Okay. So what you're trying to say is that have a certain strategy for each of the SKUs that you are going to launch. It's not just pick up something and then just launch it, but you need to have a certain thing that sets you apart from the competitors, right?
Yeah, that's right. And you also need to check the keyword. The keyword, the price of the keyword in PPC can tell you a lot about whether you should be making that product or not. I remember one friend was trying to sell a melon slicer for $10, and he couldn't get the PPC to work. And I took a look at it, and he needed to bid $3 for the PPC on a $10 item. Immediately,
Yeah.
this item's like for the bin. Yeah, forget about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And what do you think about what do you think is the best strategy to get visibility? Do you think the PPC works really well, or do you think what people are doing with giveaways and all of these, do you think it's sustainable?
Um, I do, if you're doing it in the right way. I don't actually do any giveaways on my products. Nearly all of my products have ranked organically. Like within a few days or weeks, they've ranked organically. But there's a lot of clever strategies out there now. I've got a lot, because I do this big networking event. This has helped me get into a lot of other events and in with other people that are much cleverer than me. I think there's this saying, that you need to be like the stupidest person of your 5 closest people or something like that. I can't remember what the exact words were, but it's exactly true. Yeah, I've surrounded myself with like really clever people, and then clever people have helped me come up with clever strategies. So we're doing a lot of strategies at the moment for building email lists, for ManyChat, getting people onto our ManyChat bot. There's even some lots of new strategies about doing giveaways, but via competitions rather than like in the normal way. All sorts of clever strategies, basically.
That's great. That's great. And do you think maybe you could share some of your some of the tips with beginner sellers that are watching this video?
Yeah. Okay. This is actually stolen from one of my friends, but it's super clever. Yeah. So I didn't invent this, but it's super clever. So one of the strategies he's doing is he has built an email list of maybe 20,000 people. So he built that email list through running Facebook ads. And the pure genius behind the Facebook ad was his competitor was very famous. So let's try and think of someone very famous who you could sell on Amazon. Anyway, I'll just use someone you can't sell on Amazon, right? So like, let's say his competitor was Chanel. Yeah. Right. So Chanel was very famous. Yeah. And he was selling like another handbag, but it wasn't Chanel. It was his own brand. Yeah. Which was perfectly okay to sell on Facebook. On Amazon. And so what he done was he run ads against fans of Chanel, giving away a $500 gift voucher for Chanel.
Okay.
Yeah. So then everyone want to enter, yeah, because they're winning. They're going to win. The prize is his competitor's product, not his, who they've never heard of. Yeah. So everyone enter the competition very quickly, can build up a lot of email addresses. The ad on Facebook is very relevant, so the cost is quite low because people are clicking on it, they like it. You know, you maybe get less than 10 cents a click. Yeah, you maybe got to give away a prize that's maybe high value to get the people to sign up, but then you build up a list. And then when you come to launch your new products, you've got your own email list where you can send out to and say, hey, I'm launching a new product. Here's 40% off on Amazon, or you can take them to your ManyChat or wherever you want. I mean, he actually takes them through ManyChat onto his landing page, pixels them, and also gets their email address. So he's got like 3 opportunities to target them again in their marketing. Yeah. So this is actually white hat, not against terms of service, nothing to worry about. You're sending out to your own list saying, like, if you had your own store, you know, with lots of your own products, send it to your customers saying, hey, I'm launching a new product. Here's a special offer, buy on Amazon, get 20% off. Yeah. And in week 1, he get 500 sales. He's already like page 1, position 3 or something like that in a very competitive niche. So yeah, this kind of strategy, but there's many strategies like this. So.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. And apart from list building, email building, do you think anything else is critical to make the business successful?
Well, yeah, obviously good listings, good photos. Amazon's getting more and more complex. You're going to need videos very soon. You know, I can put videos on my listings now, videos in your storefront now. You know, everything's becoming a lot more tricky, a lot more complicated than it once was. You know, now we're needing like, you know, infographics, good photos, good lifestyle photos, good videos, like installation videos, unboxing videos, lots and lots. If you really want to be successful, these are all the things you've got to be invested in. And that's exactly what you've got to do. You've got to see it as an investment. You know, you're going to have to put quite a lot of money in now. It's not a case of you can take the photos with your iPhone and throw them up on Amazon anymore. Well, there may be cases where you still can, but you'd probably sell better if you did more of the other things that I just said. So.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And one of the questions that I get a lot is how do you get reviews? How do you start the initial, you know, sales momentum, because it needs reviews? So.
Well, the benefit of the strategy that I just spoke about is all the customers, you know, all the customers that bought everything. So you can actually email them back off of Amazon and ask them, hey, you bought my product. Can you leave me a review? I don't know if you know, there's something called offline sets in Facebook, which is where you can load back in your customer detail from Amazon, and it will compare it with your ads, and it will tell you if these people were customers who clicked on your ad. So it is some way to add traceability, but actually Amazon have added some traceability in now anyway, if they go through storefront, which is not that convenient because you're kind of taking them somewhere they don't want to be, but you can set up like these unique links. So if you're doing it that way, you can actually chase people to give you reviews the same way as you used to be able to on Amazon. One of the problems with that is actually my friend who does this strategy. He's actually had some of his listings blocked because he was receiving so many reviews because Amazon thought there was something bad going on because he was receiving a higher than the normal amount of reviews. And he's currently like arguing with Amazon about it because these are genuine customers that bought his product legitimately, totally nothing wrong with it. Yeah. And Amazon are like, oh, you received too many reviews, so we block your listing from receiving reviews. And his customers are actually complaining to him, yeah,
Oh,
that I've gone to leave a review, yeah, and I can't. Your listing's been blocked from receiving reviews. So I don't know if you're aware, but I'm sure you are. A lot of Chinese have lost a lot of reviews because the system in China is that they were operating a lot of underground WeChat groups, and they were doing like repayment by PayPal for the full amount plus commission. Typically in China, it was costing around between $14 to $17 per review to get a review on Amazon. We never did any of this. The reason that we didn't do any of it is our products are very unique, and people just want our products and will leave us reviews. Even with 0 reviews, our products are selling before because people are going to Amazon and looking, and there's nothing else there. They have only one option a lot of the time, which is to buy our product, and you will get reviews naturally after that, although the amount is pretty low. We just had a problem with one of our listings, and I found that from more than 20,000 items sold, we only had 250 organic reviews, and that includes doing an email sequence for the last 3 years. So yeah, it is pretty tough to get reviews.
yeah.
But I think there's a few of the way we've even tried re-advertising to our customers on Facebook to ask them to leave us reviews, but that kind of is, it's okay. It worked out like $10 a review actually, but it did freak some people out. They were like, I bought this on Amazon, and how does Facebook know that I bought this?
Yeah, that happens a lot. And when you were telling me about how you have products which hardly has any competition, right? Because people have to buy that product because it's the only one. So how do you find such products?
Most of the products I found have just been from my own knowledge. So originally my background was in the audio industry, so I went into manufacturing niche audio products. And it was like I went into that category originally, but then I started to look what so I did have some competitors, but they weren't selling the same product as me. So to give you an example, on one of my brands, I've got my competitors all sell cheap and I sell expensive. And on the other one of my brands, my competitors all sell expensive and I sell cheap. So this is kind of way I've differentiated myself. I don't know. I'm sure you must have come across this in your life where you've seen something and something's like, $2 and $10, and you're like, well, the $10 one must be better. Yeah. So I'm going to order the $10 one. Yeah. So people naturally have this reaction. But everyone's just like sheep on Amazon. They kind of like follow like if everyone else is selling for $10, then I need to sell for at least like $10 or maybe even $9. Yeah. Whereas I went in the opposite direction. I'm like, they're selling for $10. I'm going to sell for $20. But obviously I need to add something to that product to make it more valuable, in the customer's eyes. So I will create some infographics, I will give away some like free things with it or something like that. I will make it, to give you an example, like one product we did back 3 years ago was a bag, and there was a lot of complaints about the zip on the bag. So I'm just like, all right, I want the best zip we can buy on this bag. Yeah. So we went out and we put YKK zips on it. We just made it really, really nice. But you have to be careful, because we put the YKK zips on it, and then the supplier sent us the sample, and they're like, oh yeah, we couldn't get a genuine YKK zip, so this is a fake YKK zip on the sample, but on the product it will be the genuine one. It was just that because we couldn't get it because the order is small, and they didn't have any stock of the specific one you wanted. So it's like, this is the fake one, but when we get to the production run, it will be the genuine one. So it's a similar strategy to people use. I look at the reviews, but I use my own knowledge as well. And I go to a lot of exhibitions in China, around 15 every year, and some in the US as well. And when I'm there, I'm not really looking for products. I'm looking for ideas, and I'm looking for factories. And it might be that I see something on a medical device that I think, oh, I can use that little tiny bit of that medical device on my audio device or something like this. Yeah. So trying to cross pollinate technology from different sectors of products. So
That's crazy. I mean, that's actually pretty brilliant. Because I speak to a lot of sellers, and most of whom I speak to, they sort of just source some of the products from Alibaba, which are not very original. So this gives so whoever's watching the video, this gives them insight into how they have to come up with their own products, design and engineer their own products, and then source it so that they can deliver value. This is really good. And and lastly, I do know that your event, FBA for You, got a terrific response at Canton Fair 2018. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, we've been running this event for actually since 2014, I think it was. And basically, I was just getting into Amazon. I was still sitting at my desk working here in China. And I was like, I really want to get into Amazon. And like I said to you earlier, I need to surround myself with these people who are more cleverer than I am. Yeah. So I'm like, I know what I'll do. I'm going to Canton Fair every 6 months anyway. Yeah. If you don't know, Canton Fair is the world's biggest commodity exhibition. So I'm going there anyway for my previous job. So all the time I've been in China, I've been to Canton Fair like every single time. I must be at least 30 times now to Canton Fair or more. So I was like, I'll just throw out something in one of these Amazon groups on Facebook and say, is there anyone else coming? And maybe we can meet and have a beer. And this is how it started. Yeah. And then, so the first event, there's just like 2 other people turn up. So we go to this bar, and it's me and these 2 other guys, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, oh, you sell on Amazon? And there's like, no, but I want to. I'm like, oh, you sell on Amazon? No, I don't either. Yeah. So there's 3 of us sitting there. None of us sell on Amazon. But actually them 2 guys are really big sellers as well now. Yeah. So all 3 of us were sitting there together at Canton Fair, and now we're all big sellers. The next event we had like 4 people come to, then like 6, then 20 something. And literally we carry on doing it every 6 months. It's a totally free event. And really, I don't do it to make any money from, we get some sponsors now that help us pay to make it a little bit better and make it look nicer. And we've moved to like a much bigger bar. But last time we had about 350 people on the phase 2 event, and we had about 150 people on the phase 3 event. And the phase 3 event, it was absolutely torrential rain. So I'm really surprised that we got 150 people who came out in the torrential rain. But it's a really great event. You can come and meet like lots of great Amazon sellers. We have some amazing people there. I've been talking to people who are doing like $40 million. I had other people there who are like, they sell on Amazon, but they're like already a really big company off of Amazon as well. We had sourcing people there. We had payment people there. We had lots of different people there as well. We don't have too many sponsors. I don't like to make it too like commercial, if you like. So like we have sponsors, but I told them, they were like, can we give presentations? I'm like, no, you can't give presentations. I'll give you a booth like area, which is just basically a table with some signs on it. Yeah. And you can walk around and talk to the crowd, and I'll introduce you later, because Global Sources, I don't know if you know Global Sources in Hong Kong. They're the organizer of really big exhibitions in Hong Kong. They're our main sponsor normally, and they usually give away some prizes and stuff like that. So we normally stop for a little while and do a prize draw. But we have people from everywhere. Russia. Had one guy there last time actually from Russia. Asked him, how did you hear about my event? And he's like, I met another Amazon seller in Russia, and they told me to come. They come to your event before. So, word of mouth in Russia. But we had people from all over the place. We had South America, we had Brazil, we had about 35 countries or something like that. So we had people there from India.
That's great.
Yeah. It's really good. It's a good event. And last time it was crazy. Like I left at 1:30, and there was still 70 people there.
Wow, that must have been a big party.
Yeah, they went to the
Wow.
nightclub afterwards. Yeah, some of
Oh.
them were complaining to me the next day that they missed the Canton Fair because they had a hangover.
That's insane. Wow.
So yeah, so it's a good event. It's definitely worth coming to. And like I say, I just done it because I wanted to get to know other Amazon sellers. And over the last 4 years, people keep telling me, "Oh, you should be charging," but if I charge, then less people will come, and then I might not find the really good people that I want to meet and talk to. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And so I think I've sort of asked you all the questions that I wanted to. And do you want to pick some questions from the sourcing list maybe and answer it? Anything that's
I didn't
appropriate?
actually find it. So let me have a look for it. But I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, I'm pretty confident anything you ask me about sourcing, I can answer.
So maybe can you give us a checklist sort of thing that will help Amazon sellers establish and execute a successful sourcing strategy? Like what is the best way to talk to them, negotiate, and then take care of if something goes wrong and everything put together?
Okay, no problem. I can answer that. Okay, so you said something goes wrong. For sure, something will go wrong. Yeah, I've never had one delivery yet that don't go wrong. I meet some Amazon sellers who tell me, "Oh, I never do any inspections on my products." I'm like, I really don't know how you're surviving, yeah, because I haven't had one inspection that's not had a problem, yeah. So, and also you learn a lot from them inspections, about how to make your product better than for the next order. Maybe something got misinterpreted between you and the factory. So what I would say was starting right back at the beginning. So you're looking to make a product, you're looking for a supplier, right? So you can use Alibaba. What I would use Alibaba for is I would go there and I would put that type of product into Alibaba and I would try and figure out where the manufacturing in China is for that type of product, because China's kind of split up into cities that kind of specialize in things. So, for instance, Chaozhou, yeah, if you ever go there, you'll see lots of trucks driving around with toilets on, because this is like toilet city. They make lots of porcelain and China products there. So the reason that you're going there, you go to Alibaba, you'll find out what the city is, where the highest. So when you do a search on the left hand side, you can break it down, and you can break it down into China. Then you can break it down into provinces, and then I think you can break it down into cities as well. I haven't looked on there for a long time, I must admit. But my big tip is from there, don't contact any factories. Then go to like Fiverr or Upwork and try and find yourself a sourcing agent in that specific area who's going to know about what you want to buy. So people always ask me like, "Oh, can you recommend a sourcing company? Can you recommend a sourcing agent, a sourcing person?" And I can, but you might need more than one, because if you want to buy China cups and you want to buy blankets, for me, that's a completely different skill set that person needs. So if you go to like Blanket City and you find a sourcing agent from Fiverr, Upwork, one of them websites that's in that city, chances are they're going to know about that type of product. And they're going to be able to give you really great direction on the right way to go with your product. Loads of things you probably haven't even thought about because they're the experts. So I would go off and I would find yourself someone to help you do the sourcing. And there's a few things you might think, oh, that's going to cost money. But to tell the truth, they're probably going to save you as much money as they cost you. And you've now got a person on the ground in China that's going to help you do the inspection, help you talk to the factory, help you negotiate the price, help make sure there's no miscommunication between you and the factory. They really, if you find a good person, they're really worth their weight in gold. And even you go to Alibaba, chances are you might be dealing with this type of person anyway. So, but they probably won't tell you. I'll give you an example of my ex-girlfriend. So my ex-girlfriend specialized in printer cartridges, the toner cartridge for the laser printer. Now, she had a few customers, and all them customers found her from Alibaba, and they thought they were dealing direct with the factory. But actually, she was an agent. She worked with 3 factories, and she had the uniform for each of them factories. She had the name cards for each of them factories. If her customer came to China, she would wear the uniform, she would take the name card, she would go to the factory. The people at the factory knew who she was. Yeah, you would have no idea that you were dealing with an agent, but she was an agent. Now, one bad thing about that is that she was an agent, but she didn't want to tell the customer. Now, later, the customer had been to China and visited the factory, and now that factory were giving her really bad products and really bad service. She wanted to change factory, but she's like, oh, I can't change factory, because if I change factory, the customer will be very confused. I already told him one time before I left that factory and worked for a different factory. I can't keep telling him every 6 months that I left that factory and worked for a different factory. So then she had to carry on with the bad factory, because she didn't want to tell the guy that she was selling the product to that she was an agent, because she worried she'd lose the business. So it's better to find the agent in the first place that knows the agent, you deal with. They can work for you, they can save you money, help you, save you time, etc., etc. So
Sounds
that's one big
interesting. And so coming to what do you have to do when something goes wrong? So typically, what are the typical challenges that they could face while procuring a product, and what can they possibly do to avoid it?
Okay. So one important thing is like, don't pay all the money up front, which I think hopefully most people know. Yeah. The most you should be paying up front is like 30%, unless you specifically got something like you're buying that's got a very high material value, like you're buying gold rings, for instance. The supplier might want more than 30% up front because they've got to buy a lot of gold, to give you an example. So you want to keep like at least 70% of the money, and that 70% of the money is not released until you've got like confirmation from the quality inspection that everything's okay. Because that puts you in a much stronger position if there's a problem. Most of the time, the factory will try to get out of the problem. They will say, oh, it's not our fault. You didn't tell us about it. It's not our fault. They will give you various excuses why it's not their fault. Even it is their fault. They might admit it's their fault, but then still say they're not going to fix it for you. You've got to like persevere. You've got to be strong, but like kind of not too aggressive at the same time. You've got to tell them, look, I can't accept this. I mean, like on my first order, I think I told you right back in the beginning, I ordered 1,000 and only 400 were acceptable. I actually went to the factory myself. I looked at the first 10 out of the box, and there was one major problem with them. And I freaked out and told them, these are all wrong, yeah? I'm going, yeah? You fix it, I'll be back. And they were like, oh, well, we can give you a discount. I'm like, I don't want a discount to buy rubbish, yeah? It's like, I don't need a discount on rubbish, yeah? My customer buys this, leaves me a bad review, this product's finished, yeah? And I spent like the last 3 or 4 months developing this, so no, I don't accept a discount. And I actually made a mistake here, because I went to the factory, the first thing I spotted was like a major problem. I freaked out with them, and then I left, and then I went back like 2 weeks later, they reworked them all. And then I found, actually there was a load of other problems that I hadn't even noticed the first time I was there. So then I'm like, this is a reject, and they're very upset with me, yeah, because they already went through them all, unpacked them all, fixed them all, put them all back again. So one tip is make sure you inspect a reasonable amount and create a big long list of everything that might be wrong. And then basically, they wanna argue with you about it. They maybe offer you a discount, but in the end, for that first order, I ended up not taking 600 pieces of stock. They ended up swallowing the cost for them. I was a little bit worried about like where they would go. Like maybe they end up competing against me on Amazon. But I tried to pick factories that are, not too big and pretty busy. The smaller factories are more helpful. If you're not in China, you're not really going to know who you're dealing with. One thing is to ask your agent, is to ask them to give you a report on the factories. So they might give you, the way I would do it is I would like create my product specification. This is what I want to buy. I would give it to my agent. I would tell them, I need you to find me 3 factories. I need to get 3 quotes. I need to understand like the price, the tooling cost, the lead times for samples, all these different things, because all these different things like affect it. You know, it might be the cheapest, but it might take like 4 months for them to make it, where the other one might be a little bit more expensive, but might be able to do it in a month. And I would do all that, and then I would decide on a factory, or I might send that agent to all 3 factories and ask them to do me a report on all 3 factories, so I can find out like which one I think they prefer, and I can see some photos and I can understand. Living in China, one of the important things for me is having a relationship with the factory, and feeling like you can feeling like the factory is someone you feel like you can get on with. You know, we've had a lot of problems with the bigger factories. The bigger factories are just like, most of the time they're just like, take it or leave it. It's reject. Okay, you don't want it, I'll keep your deposit, I'll throw it away. And so if you're dealing with the really big factories, it can be like that. I mean, I just had a problem. I have a problem with every single delivery, I think. So I just had a problem with a carton, the product carton with the printing on it. It's like not in the center and it's all moved. Yeah. And literally this factory already made this product like 4 times for me. But the order's like a 40-foot high cube. It's worth $60,000. We paid like the 30% deposit. And they're like, oh, they sent me the sample. And I'm like, these are terrible. I don't accept them. And they're like, oh, well, you got to accept them because there's nothing wrong with them. And I'm like, okay, so we proved there's something wrong with them. And then they're still like, oh, well, we're not going to replace them. If you want them replaced, we think they're okay. You need to pay for it. I'm like, okay. In that case, then I don't take any of it. And I owe them like $43,000 for the order. And they already made it all. So suddenly they're like, okay, we'll get them reprinted.
That's great.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing your experience, such amazing tips and strategies. And thank you so much for joining us on today's webinar. And stay tuned for more great quality content, and do subscribe to all our channels. Thanks and goodbye.